Alright, we should be getting ready to start here. And it looks like we're off now. So this is Donkey Kong Country. This was released on the Super Nintendo in the mid-90s. Was seen as kind of a renaissance of the series. Donkey Kong had been regaled to just short little arcade games, and they did a re-release of the arcade on the Game Boy, but it didn't really come into prominence until this series launched. Breezing through the first couple stages here. First couple worlds are really quick to get through. There's not really a whole lot to them trick-wise, just kind of speeding through a lot of these enemies. There's a couple little tricks like this one right here with the blast barrel into the bonus stage that kind of launches you out. Some basic rope swinging. You generally stick with Diddy as much as possible in this game because his roll is a lot faster. He uses less frames. And for the most part, you're going to see Diddy on his own because having Donkey Kong with you as well adds a lot of additional lag. Plus, Diddy has that ability that you can roll and hit enemies as you roll, and it'll speed them up. Sorry, I've got a attention-wanting cat here. And for the first of the underwater levels, these ones generally take a little bit because obviously the water physics slow things down. At least until you can get your, we'll see the first animal friend here on guard. Parisian player decided to pick up Donkey. I'm not entirely sure if that was intentional or not, but I guess we'll find out here. Isn't going to have a huge effect. Looks like he got kind of caught up there. Looks like Antilles is gonna finish that level pretty quickly. On to Barrel Canyon. This one's got a little trick right here that gets you past about half the stage, if not about 3/4 of the stage. You can get through it pretty quickly. Jump up into that second barrel. This is the part where I was talking about that Diddy roll really helps. When you got enemies kind of stacked up against each other, you can just hit one after the other in a single roll. And all right, on to the first boss. A giant beaver, or yeah, I was gonna say I thought he was a chipmunk for a second, but bosses in this game are really repetitive. They pretty much just every hit they add on one more to their particular pattern. Not a lot of RNG with the Naughty series. The Neckies have a little bit of RNG related to them. Right, on to the next area. Pretty straightforward level here. Now, Minecart Carnage has one of the easiest skips ever. And done. I was once playing this game with a friend of mine, and he didn't know about that barrel. I did. He got stuck halfway through that level, and when I finally caught up to him, I did that and beat the level. And from about 3 kibbles down, we were working. I hear, "What the hell was that?" So I got a bit of a laugh out of that one. Got to show him up. Yeah, that level was really tough, Vineyard. Until I found that skip. Another quick end of the level skip. This level's a pain because you have to keep hitting those stop barrels to keep these rock crocs from running all around. And as the level progresses, they get shorter and shorter between them. So going to another skip barrel here. And on to the second boss. This is Neki. This one has some RNGs depending on where he's going to show up. The amount of coconuts that he spits out increases after every hit, but like how high up, it's pretty RNG dependent. Hitboxes in this game were really kind of weird. Sometimes you'd run, like you'd try and jump on a Kremling and you'd get hit. Other times, it's like you'd jump right through them. So this one is really weird when it comes to that. So that barrel that Antilles just hit is actually a timed barrel. It actually will disappear after a short period of time. So you have only a few seconds to get to it to jump to the end of the level. Parisian losing donkey there. So Antilles is just about a full stage ahead, but that can change pretty quickly. There's some of the stages toward the end of the game get really difficult, especially once you get to the mines. So a little glitch on Antilles basically allows you to do a super jump off the screen, and you're pretty much flying infinitely until you release the jump button. So it's really, you have to kind of time it that you release the jump button at a certain period of time, so when you get to the end of the level, you're not having to wait a long period of time before you fall. So it looks like Parisian player pulled that off too. So there's the landing. Yeah, I've been playing this game since pretty much it came out in the early 90s. I even remember Nintendo Power put out a special video where they interviewed some of the beta testers at Nintendo, including like big names like Ken Lobb. They showed off this game. They showed off how they built the. I don't want to say sprites because it's kind of a pre-rendered, but they talked about the graphics of the game and a lot of the stuff like that. They showed you some tricks. And now we're seeing our first showing of Espresso, the ostrich. One of the animals that got the shaft because this is his only appearance. Yeah, that was it. klutz. All right, what Antilles is doing right here is there's a glitch that if you jump into a level at a particular point where at that corner, it actually will skip you all the way halfway through that stage. It's a specific 1 pixel hit. You see Parisian Player having some issues trying to hit that. There we go. Took a little bit, so until he's at the next water level, and we get to see our good friend Ungard again. Water levels are pretty straightforward, just a lot of maneuvering around, dodging sharks and giant clams and just about everything else that they decide to throw at you. These croctopi. All right, on to the third boss. Yeah, the soundtrack, I love this. I used to own this soundtrack when I was a kid, and I used to sit in my room and read whatever book I was reading at the time and listening to the soundtrack. So it's probably one of the top 10 video game soundtracks I've ever listened to in my life. I have a bunch of video game soundtracks. It's kind of a connoisseur of it. So yeah, David Weiss did such an amazing job. Aquatic Ambiance isn't my favorite track in this, but it's a top 3. Fear Factory's probably will always be my favorite. All right, now on to the ice area. This level actually had one of those tricks I was talking about, where they showed you how to get to a little bonus area by using those vultures. This level is also one of the few that's one of the first levels that's got a really complicated barrel course. That kind of became a hallmark of this, especially this game. The series as a whole, but the first Donkey Kong Country really had a lot of these barrel courses, especially once you get to this part when the snow starts really blocking you. The DKC2 soundtrack also had a lot of really good ones, but this one had a lot more of an ambiance to it, and I think that's what I liked about it. I mean, there was still some plenty of tracks like the mine one. I keep wanting to say Minecart Melancholy, but it's not that one. I can't remember the actual track name, but that one has a lot of. That one was probably my favorite out of Donkey Kong Country 2. A little warp barrel here. This level is actually really kind of complicated because you have to jump across these ice ropes that will slide you either up or down. It's kind of a maze. Has a bit of a maze aspect to it. And until he finishes, yeah, Parisian Player's caught up quite a bit. He's almost to the end, and we get to see Espresso again. Espresso is a huge help in this level because you skip a lot of these. Excuse me. You skip a lot of these rope swings, these kind of treacherous jumps. I actually didn't know that about that David Wise wasn't part of the DKC3 soundtrack. Makes sense now that I think about it. But new underwater level, and we get to see a new enemy, these little squids. The DKC3 soundtrack was also really good. I mean, it definitely wasn't as great as the other two, but it had some good. There were some good ones. There were some good tracks on it. I don't think DKC3 gets really deserves a lot of the negativity that people may think it is. I mean, as a standalone game, it's pretty solid. Antilles has got just a slight bit of a lead right now. It's not by much, but this is a tight race. I mean, this could come down to the wire, and we're just a little over halfway there. This is another really kind of maze-like level, so... It actually looks like Parisian Player may have taken the lead here. I may be wrong. Nope, never mind. I just saw the sign that usually points you saying that you're toward the end of the level. Antilles with the N, so we should be getting pretty close. There we go. So, all right, Antilles is done with that one. This stage annoyed the heck out of me when I was a kid because for a very brief second, that blinding light from Squawks hit you, and it was so confusing. That's why a lot of these players just breeze past it. This was the debut of Squawks, and this is the only level that he's in the game. And all he does is just hold a light for you. Nice little bit of a goof there on Antilles' part. There's a lot of dodging in this level with the giant wheels. Kind of toward the end of this area. No real gimmick on this particular stage. Just a lot of platforming, dodging the bees, bouncing off the tires. You're pretty standard. Alright, and Antilles on to Really Naughty's Rampage. So this one, the difference between this one and the first one, as you can see, is after every hit he does the huge vertical leap. And he's invincible until he stops. So, but there's a fun little glitch there you kill Donkey and you can get that last hit on him without having to wait for those jumps. So. Alright, on to my personal favorite area, and probably my favorite stage. You want to talk about wonky hitboxes. These oil drums have probably the wonkiest hitboxes in the game. You have to literally be standing right on top of them with the fire to get hit. But like standing on the edge of them, rolling past them like that, you'll never get hit. Try to dodge the barrels from the Forgotten Kong there. So Antilles still holding about a half-level lead ahead of everybody. Get a warp barrel there and get you. And Antilles holding that lead quite a bit, but you know, Parisian player is going to catch it. Parisian player with a super jump. Tilly's lost Diddy, so he's got to switch. Parisian player just caught back up. Parisian player with another super jump here. Yeah, that was me. Yeah, I forgot to mute my notifications here, so I apologize. To Poison Pond. This one's got a lot of dodging the wheels. In this stage here. Quick second, I'm gonna mute. Put myself into the do not disturb mode really quick. That way that won't happen again. There we go. Tilly's finishing out strongly. Now, Parisian player lost on guards, so this is going to be go for him. There's still a little bit left to do. I think just a short period. At least an infinite. back, guys. That any better? All right. So on to, now we're on Blackout Basement. Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what was going on there. So, yes, I'm back. I'm back to being fully human. And thank you, Dark Wolf Insanity, for actually getting my joke. All right, so on to the boss. So this one's kind of a bit of a time sink because you have to wait for him to drop down, and each drop adds one every time, and then he'll spill out some enemies that you have to kill. And last one of them being the big fat enemies that you have to kill with donkeys, so it's kind of a pain. Right there. And I think we've got one more to go after this, and then on to the mines. Yep, there we go. To Chimp Caverns. Now this is where the difficulty, at least for me, really took off. Now the gimmick, obviously, is you have to keep the thing fueled, but there's a couple little tricks that they can use to get past a lot of this level. We'll see what they pull out of their bag as the level goes on. Next conveyor. This level is pretty much the closest this game gets to an auto-scroller. I mean, you also have the minecart ones, but this one's one of the agonizing auto-scrollers. And as the level progresses, obviously the fuel drums that you pick up don't fill up as much. So then you get the panic mode of just barely running out of fuel and having to be perfect. So, oh well, I guess they decided to run it normal. So. More of the giant mincer wheels, and now we get to see the other return. The other one that sticks around is Rambi. Now, Rambi, for pretty much all intents and purposes, is virtually invincible. I mean, he's got a very weird hitbox. He can destroy just about anything, whether landing on it or ramming it, which he'll do automatically if you're close enough like that. You don't have to like hit a button or anything. So that's just about the only way that you can kill him, is pretty much hitting an inanimate object. Just kind of zoom past all the little beavers for Antilles. Alright, now on to the next stage. This is one of the few of these kind of levels that doesn't really have like a switched-based gimmick, because you had the stop and go one, and then later on you have a light. The lights go out, but this one you have to. This one just it's misty, and that's pretty much it. So, dodging these snakes that spawn. Alright, and Parisian player on to the next level now. Sorry, I didn't miss that. I missed that there. Oh, Parisian player with a super jump. Let's see if he can see how much this will catch up. Antilles is out of the level. And Parisian player's catching up. Yeah, here's the level I was talking about, loopy lights. So this was the other one that the lights turn out and you have to turn back on. This one also introduces the really annoying claptraps that jump at you. I remember I was playing this game the first time I saw that. Completely caught me off guard. And Parisian players should be getting pretty close to the end. And there we go. So, Parisian players now on to the next. On to loopy lights. Antilles is probably about, let's say, past the halfway mark. I couldn't really see because the lights were out for most of it. Yep. Yeah, there's the arrow sign, which pretty much shows that you're coming up toward the end of the level. There we go. Alright. Last normal level of the game. It's another walkway one. After this, there's just two boss fights. Parisian player making his way through loopy lights, coming up toward the end. And he's out, so he's on to platform perils. Oh, ooh. Antilles with a death, that is going to set him back. I mean, he had the halfway mark, which is going to be good, but this is going to give Parisian player a chance to catch up. Well, thank you very much. This is actually my first time ever attempting to commentate a commentator run, so I'm glad I'm meeting your approval. Parisian player hitting the halfway mark. And Antilles is out, so on to the last two boss fights. So we're getting a refight of Neki. Yeah, when he's way high up, that's the hardest ones to hit. Because if he's at the apex of it, it's the hitbox is kind of weird. And Antilles takes down Neki really quickly, so he's on to Karul now. Everybody get out their mugs to drink the pirate drinking song. That's what the song always reminds me of. So, phase 1 is pretty straightforward. He just runs back and forth, and throws his crown. And obviously, he speeds up as he goes. But nice one. All right, and Antilles is on to phase 2. Parisian player is now on to Carul. So, yeah, this has been an incredibly close race. I mean, if Antilles, it's basically this race is down to Antilles to lose. If he makes a mistake, then Parisian can capitalize. There's no RNG or anything left in this fight. It's purely scripted. So, looks like Parisian's on to phase 2 now. Antilles is on, I believe this is the last hit of phase 3, or phase 2. Yep. Claptrap with the coding, Crusher with the characters, Critter with the coloring, Clump with the concept, and King Carul as the commander. The end, question mark. Alright, and Antilles now on phase 3, so and Parisian just finishing up phase 2, so he's literally just about 10 or so seconds behind. Not even that. I actually wouldn't even call it that. So, until he's on the 3rd hit of phase 3, and that is it. And Antilles takes it. Parisian player's not that far behind. He's on phase 3 now. He's got the first hit. Got the second hit. And Parisian with the 3rd hit. So, yeah, Parisian about 30 seconds or so behind, but that is the game. GG to both runners. And we get to see Donkey celebrating with his gigantic banana horde now. Apparently that was a PB for Parisian, so I didn't have the stats up, so make sure you give these guys a follow. That was probably one of the closest races that I've seen. I haven't really been involved in the speedrunning community for very long. I've watched them a lot, but I haven't really been active in the racing part of it until just recently. And so I've been watching a lot of these races, and that was probably the closest I've seen. That was a 30-second difference, just about. So yes, once again, GG to both runners. Make sure to follow them, because that was very impressive. I mean, Antilles just, I think, had that one death, and Parisian did it completely deathless, if memory serves me. So, one thing I always loved about these games is the comedy, even in the credits, like here with the aquatics. So you have the little squids being chased by the crocs, or chased by the sharks. Let me check the schedule here. I don't think what we have next is... Yeah, it looks like we got a Banjo-Kazooie run coming up in about an hour, but this is the only run for the DKC race, or DKC tournament. Let's see. And we get some lip from Cranky Kong. Did he being ever little prankster? Looks like we got Parisian waiting if we're gonna have. Sure. There we go. Good job there, Parisian. That was probably the closest race I'd seen in this entire tournament.
Yeah, to be honest, when I entered King Carol, I thought I won. But
yeah, you were. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that was deathless, wasn't it? You didn't have a death in the entire race, the entire run.
That was deathless, yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
And my run doesn't have that many mistakes considering what I'm going for, but yeah, it was. And he has just got a better PB, so
yeah,
congrats to him.
That's what the chat was saying, that there was there were some PBs there, and it looks like Antilles is here as well. So GG to both you gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you very much. GG Parisian player, really good race. I was nervous the whole time. I knew I had to play really well to beat you because you've been playing so well lately.
Yeah, that was it was just talking with Parisian. You Antilles had the only death in that race, was just that one death. Everything else.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So
I thought I lost it there. I knew that was not a good spot. And what I was trying to do was I was trying to press left right before I hit the guy, because I was trying to jump over him really, and then I knew I wasn't going to make it, so I tried to hit left, and it was just a tiny bit too late, so I bounced the wrong direction.
Yeah, and the hitboxes in this game are really kind of wonky, so you really have to be careful with where you're hitting. But yeah, there was at the most you were about a half a level ahead. You guys were pretty much, you'll have to pardon the pun, but neck and neck for the close of it. Like, I mean, your times were only about 30 seconds off, so it was.
That's awesome.
It could have gone either way.
Good. I'm really glad it was that good a race. I know that's what both of us were kind of hoping for pretty much the last few weeks, honestly. I mean, we knew Peachy was going to easily defeat both of us, but then we knew that it would come down to this matchup, so we've been looking forward to it for a while. I'm glad it was a good show.
Yeah, no, it was. I've been watching this race for a while, and I've been playing Donkey Kong Country since it came out in the '90s when I was a kid, and that was probably one of the best I've seen,
awesome.
Bar none. So you guys, I mean, Antilles, yeah, you won, but Parisian player, you have nothing to be ashamed about. You guys did both amazingly well.
Yeah, I did the run I need to do for that kind of races, and it's not like even. If it was even closer, I could have regret my 8th try map warp, or the fact that I lost Angard in Poison Pond.
Yeah, that hurts.
Your time is below my sum of best, so at some point I just have to. I have nothing to be ashamed about in this race, so
definitely not. So are you gonna keep going? That's 2 PBs in 2 days, man. You're kind of on a streak here.
Yeah, no, that's
doubt.
it. Yeah, because if I want to get, as I told you in the channel, my strats are very, very cheesy. So if I want to get like a 36, I need to learn a lot of new stuff, and that would take me a long time. And currently, it's not what I'm going for.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah, the levels you mentioned you're super jumping over, I think are probably some of the funnest levels in the game too. So whenever you do get around to it, I think you'll have a really good time.
Probably. The first one I'd like to learn is Misty Mines, because I think that if you got visual cues, then it's okay. But I never took the time to learn those visual cues.
Yeah, I think that's a really hard level to learn. It's just it's hard to know where you are in the stage because so much of it looks really similar. It's just a bunch of snakes popping out of cans for a really long time, and it's hard to know exactly what movement you're supposed to do.
But ODA looks too scary for the moment for me. Like you have to make the rolls on some burning barrels, and if you're too much on the left, you're getting hit. If you're too much on the right, you fall. So yeah, I always did that.
Oh, I almost chickened out. I did chicken out right at the end too, and I thought I got hit and lost Diddy, but it didn't go as badly as I thought. But I was nervous going through the end of that one for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely, like I said, definitely close. There was a couple mistakes on both sides, but you guys were pretty much neck and neck, pretty much since you started. Like I said, you were Antilles. You were, like I said, about a half level. There was one instance in the third area, the forest, that you got about 2 levels ahead, but that was just because of that like level skip glitch. And Parisian was able to jump in that pretty quickly as well. So he was definitely able to close the gap. But yeah, you guys were, with the Karul fight. And when you finished the first, or like we're going into the second phase, he was just starting the first phase, and so it was just literally just a couple seconds. Yeah,
that's close,
it was,
dude.
Yeah, it was so close.
I had a feeling I couldn't screw up K-Rool. Like I felt like I was probably ahead. I knew unless he had the complete run of his life, I was probably going to be okay as long as I held on. But that was still scary, the K-Rool fight, because you shouldn't die there, but you can. Random weird things can happen. So I tried to pay attention.
Yeah, no, that was definitely impressive. So, like I said, you guys both have plenty to be proud of with that race. So,
cool.
All right.
Awesome. Well, GG Parisian player. Glad it was a good show.
Yeah.
Thanks for the
GG to
race.
both you gentlemen. So.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the commentaries also.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for hopping in there last minute.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
No problem. I'm glad I was able to entertain you. Like I said, I'm fairly new to the speedrunning community, so this is the first.
Awesome.
This is the first time I've ever commentated anything. So.
Well, welcome. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you jumped in for it. And if you ever want to do anything else, feel free. We're pretty excited to welcome new folks.
I've been experimenting on it, so it's I'm
nice.
I'm definitely working my way in. So.